Welcome to Not Your Status Quo. Today we are going to review Venom. We will be talking spoilers, so if you have not seen the movie, check out our spoiler-free review and then go see the movie. If you like what you see, please subscribe to our channel, hit the like button, and ring the bell to be notified of future videos.
I'm Eddie Brock. I'm a reporter.
So here's what I thought of the movie. I thought it was, I don't know, it was good. I didn't expect it to be good. I liked it. It didn't line up with the comics. You know, the symbiote was different. It was created by Peter Parker's father in the comics. But the way they did it, it still made sense. It still worked with the story. I think the villain actually felt like he was, accomplishing something. He didn't care what it took. I like that. The back and forth between Venom and Eddie Brock was damn good. He's like, why would we do that when he's beating people up? I loved it. And Eddie Brock seemed like he had some integrity. And at the end of the movie, when he, decides, I don't know if he decided to keep Venom. Venom was just there. That it worked. If you're going to stay, you're going to only kill bad people. I liked it. And the back and forth was hilarious. When he was talking to Venom, not much bad I can say. I mean, I know it didn't stick. A lot of people gave this bad reviews, but I was highly entertained, and I thought the story was good, even though it might have some holes.
And just for note, Peter Parker's dad created the Venom symbiote in the Ultimate Universe, where in the Marvel 616 universe, it was actually found during Secret Wars. But with that out of the way, out of 10, what would you rate Venom?
I'd give it a 7.5. Yeah, I liked it.
We are Venom.
So like Dave, I found this very entertaining. There was some not so great performances. The plot wasn't all that in-depth. The characters weren't all that deep. But the fight scenes and the back and forth between Eddie and Venom just really made this movie. I mean, Tom Hardy was just incredibly talented in this movie. He showed just range that was beyond what a superhero movie really should. He was funny. He was thoughtful. So many things went on. He was so good. Where everyone else was, kind of wooden and stiff. But, I mean, I think his performance in this made this movie. And I definitely, I can see why a lot of critics didn't like it. I mean, as movies go, this wasn't a masterpiece by any stretch of the imagination. But like Dave, I found it very entertaining. I sat and I enjoyed this movie from start to finish.
So, rating?
I would give it a 7.7 out of 10.
7.7. He had to outdo me.
I didn't necessarily outdid you. I just gave it a higher score.
Uh-huh.
To prove that I like Venom better.
Eyes, lungs, pancreas, so many snacks, so little time.
So other items of note about this movie. During the movie's opening, we learned that astronaut John Jameson died on a mission that's obviously in reference to The Amazing Spider-Man #1. That episode from the 90s of the animated Spider-Man TV show. It's called The Alien Costume, Part 1. This saw him return from space with the alien symbiote in tow, and it seems like it's fitting in the world that there was no Spider-Man. There was no Spider-Man to save him, so he would die.
Makes sense. You may also think that Venom telling Eddie that he's craving chocolate is just kind of a random line to get laughs, but there was actually an entire subplot devoted to the symbiote's love of chocolate way back in the 90s. Eating chocolate meant Eddie could stop Venom from desiring brains because both the human brain and that sweet treat included the chemical something, so that's why he's craving it here. I have no idea how to say that.
Phenethylamine.
Works for me. Look it up, kids. Let us know in the comments.
There's no mention of the Daily Bugle in Venom, but we do learn that some sort of incident in New York City led to Eddie Brock being fired from the Daily Globe. And they moved out to San Francisco. In the comics, that was the publication Eddie wrote for when Spider-Man had him fired for catching the real Sin Eater, despite Eddie writing a story that which he claimed to have found the serial killer and landed an interview with him.
It's mentioned at one point that Carlton Drake may be planning to use the symbiotes to cure cancer. This is undoubtedly a reference to both the Ultimate Universe, where the aliens was actually a man-made creation, by Peter Parker's dad to cure the disease, and the fact that wearing the symbiote ultimately gave Eddie Brock cancer. There's even talk of the symbiotes draining the adrenal glands, another nod to the comics.
And perhaps what was the movie's best scene, Anne Wang becomes She-Venom for a brief moment to transport the symbiote back to Eddie Brock in the middle of the woods. And during that sequence, she eats some brains and takes out a lot of guys. And by the time the movie ends, you can tell that she's really missing being bonded with the alien. However, this is a huge departure from the comics, so in which case, she eventually took her own life. And I thought, that scene, she looked great as She-Venom.
I agree. And the humor in Venom is a tad hit or miss, but one of the funniest moments comes right at the end of the movie, after the symbiote tells Eddie that he's going to help him win Anne back. They bump into Stan Lee, so this is the Stan Lee cameo, who tells them both not to give up on her. I thought it was funny that he sort of knew Venom was there. And Venom's reaction is the best part when he says, "Who was that guy?"
Well, Stan Lee is a watcher. That's how he knew Venom was there.
Excellent point.
In the movie Venom, the one we're reviewing, Roland Treese is tasked with bringing Eddie Brock back to Carlton Drake, and he's the head of security for Life Foundation. While he doesn't bear much of a resemblance to his comic book counterpart, Roland is lifted straight out of the source material, and he is actually the lead villain in Venom, Lethal Protector. However, he's a businessman. They never really go toe-to-toe.
In the comics, Carlton Drake is also the leader of the Life Foundation and uses the company to try and cure his cancer. He never actually bonds with a symbiote, but is responsible for creating the offspring, which Venom and Spider-Man later have to do battle with. However, he does at one point gain superpowers in the source material, but that came after he injected himself with Spidey's blood.
So Venom is light on references to Spider-Man, which makes sense because, Spider-Man doesn't exist in this world. Despite all the rumors I heard ahead of time that Tom Holland was going to be in the movie, no.
Spoiler alert, he was not.
He was not. However, when Anne realizes that the Sonics can hurt Venom, she refers to them as the symbiote's kryptonite, which, as you know, references Superman, who is Clark Kent, whose show Smallville recently celebrated their 18th anniversary. I had to throw a Smallville reference in. I had to.
You do every video. We come to expect it now.
They are incredible.
And in a very cool nod to the comics, Riot at one point tears the mask off Venom, which appears to cause Eddie a great deal of pain. And this is reference to Carnage Unleashed #3. In the comic, you saw Carnage doing the same to his dear old dad. In terms of visuals lifted from the source material, though, this is pretty much all we get in Venom, which is obviously somewhat of a shame.
The movie's mid-credits scene features Eddie Brock paying a visit to killer Cletus Cassidy for an interview with the authorities that they hope will the authorities hope will bring evidence of where he put the victims' bodies. And Cletus turns around, promises that there will be carnage when he escapes, and this is obviously setting up a Venom 2, which I think would be amazing.
Should we talk about the wig?
Yeah, let's go ahead and speak about it.
It was a terrible wig.
Terrible.
A shame. Which I really hope because this movie's making a lot of money right now, when they make Venom 2 and Carnage is in it, that they definitely improve on that wig. And then in the post-credit scene, which I don't know if I want to call it a post-credit scene, because it really didn't have to do with Venom, because it kicks off and it says, "Meanwhile, in another Spider-Verse," and we see Miles Morales at the gravesite of Peter Parker before he's confronted by Peter Parker. He knocks the wall crawler out. What follows is a fun chase sequence through Brooklyn, which ends up with both of the superheroes knocked out in the street. Obviously, a scene from Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, which is coming out December, and it really got me, a little more fired up for this movie. I think it looks, animation's a little different than what I was expecting, but it looks great.
It does. It's something I would actually want to see on a big screen from an animated movie. So, I agree.